Well, Kurt Hahn probably he's slow to be discovered in the United States, but he'll probably go down as one of the great educators of our century. He was a German, a Jew, born and brought up in Berlin, a very erudite, intellectual family, had a love of education, studying the classics, and was advised by one of his professors that he could go further with the classical studies if he went to Oxford, and which he did. And there two things happened to Kurt Hahn. Number one, he was rowing one day and suffered a severe sunstroke, which was to plague him the rest of his life. And the second, yeah, go
tell
ahead.
me a little bit more about this sunstroke. What did he have to do?
Well, for the rest of his life, he couldn't go out in direct sunlight. He wore enormous broad-brimmed hats and dark glasses, and he was uncomfortable in any room where there was an open fire. Not only ultraviolet light bothered him, but infrared light bothered him.
Didn't he have to spend a year indoors?
Spent a year in darkness, and he did that in Scotland. That's how he got to love Scotland. It was cool, and he was comfortable, but he was interested in athletics and physical fitness, and the only athletics he could partake in was the standing high jump. And he became one of the world's best standing high jumpers. He could high jump almost 5 feet.
This must have bothered the people living below.
A little tough, like living in a drum.
Yeah. Well, during this period, didn't he develop some of the core of his educational philosophy?
Yep, he was able to, through the study of Plato, and particularly with Plato's Republic, to come up with a scheme of education, a basic plan of education. And it was his dream to start a school one day. But that didn't happen right away because World War I came along. He was suspected of being a German in England, and that was tough. And he finally escaped and got to the continent, and there they thought he was an English spy. And so eventually he got back to Germany, and he was off and running.
Yeah, but his philosophy of your disability is your opportunity. Wasn't that the important thing he was...
That was a part of it. Your disability is your opportunity. When you discover you have identified within yourself a weakness and you overcome it, you are stronger in the process. Somebody who gives up smoking is a stronger person for having given up smoking. Or somebody who's overcome a physical disability is stronger because of it. And each and every one of us owes it to ourselves to discover what our disability is and to work on it.
So how did he happen to return to Germany and start his first school there?
Well, the return, it was a matter of running away from all kinds of people. The people who thought he was an English spy and the people who thought he was a German spy. He got back to Germany, and he went to work with Prince Max of Baden, B-A-D-E-N. And during World War I, Prince Max was in charge of the well-being of Allied prisoners of war. And Hahn worked closely with him. Near the end of the war, Hahn realized that Germany would stand a better chance, a more reasonable settlement at the Versailles peace table if the Kaiser was not in charge. So he contributed to the abdication of the Kaiser and got his own boss, Prince Max, to sit at the peace table in Germany in the hopes of a better settlement. Then the war was over, and he and Max got together and decided to form a school located in the castle that Max lived. And it was to be called Salem. And that's spelled in English, S-A-L-E-M, like Salem. It means peace, like shalom. And it was located in a castle.
Yeah. Could you describe this castle? It's very unique.
Well, it was 700 years old. It had 1,100 windows. It had 20 acres of red tile roof. It had been a Cistercian monastery in the south of Germany, in the Black Forest, not far from Lake Constance, which is that lovely border of, that lovely piece of water that borders Germany and Switzerland.
And what was the unique philosophy behind this school?
Well, I think there are two really critical parts of this philosophy. You remember the reference to Outward Bound in the film, that lives in lifeboats were saved when two things happened. When people discovered that they could go further than they thought they could. That's a terribly important lesson for young people. that they can go that extra step. You remember in the lifeboat situation, it was a young seaman who was perishing, and the overage, overweight mate, captain, chief petty officer was surviving. And people said, gee, how come these superbly trained, superbly conditioned youngsters are failing, and these overweight ones were making it? And people realized that they lived a little longer, and they had a better idea that they could go further than they thought they could. And secondly, that you get enormous strength when you can get your mind off yourself and start thinking about somebody else. Mm-hmm. That's critical. And the older fellow, you see, was responsible for people in his boat. And so that service in the school was a key ingredient.
And value-forming experiences.
Value-forming experiences, mostly oriented towards the dramatic saving of human life.
Yeah.